Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Raquel Kelly Sports Talk show. We are so excited to be with you again. We have been having a great time, and if you're new here, we want to give you a really quick recap about what we're about. So our show is about learning about sports, and my colleague Kelly is going to give us a little bit more information about that and an introduction to what we're doing today.
So if you can believe it, this is our fourth show. We started with basketball, and we've learned about badminton and cross-country skiing and volleyball. And today, we are learning about hockey in our community of Sault Ste. Marie at the high school level.
And if you can believe it, we are not hockey moms. Our kids have never played hockey. So we've got a lot to learn, just like we have with every single sport. But before we get into it, coaches and athletes, we are looking for some help from you. We are looking for those shout-outs for the athletes on your team that show great team spirit, that are fantastic at motivating everybody else, inspiring the team, have great sportsmanship. We are looking for you to give those shout-outs to us because we want to talk about these great students on our last episode. So you can message us on any social if you can find us. You can also message Saultsports through their Facebook page, and they will make sure it gets to us. And our plan is on our very last episode of our 12-run season, we are going to have an episode on sportsmanship and team spirit, and we're going to do all of these shout-outs. So we need you to get them to us. We still have a couple weeks, and I think that we need to have a little challenge. Kelly, do you want to tell them what our challenge is about this?
We have had one coach send us shout-outs already. So all the coaches in the communities, if you get together and talk to each other, send us shout-outs of all of your children in these sports.
Yes. So we're challenging you because we can't do a show with just one coach who gave us 4 amazing shout-outs. And I'm just going to say,
shout-outs.
It was a football coach. So football coaches, the challenge is here. Okay, so we need that information from you guys. But now we need to get into our actual episode today. So Kelly, do you want to do an introduction to our coaches?
Quick little introduction, and we'll let them talk about how they got where they are today. We've got Coach Josh Dunn and Coach Patti Cook. So thank you for joining us. I don't know who wants to go first, but we'll just jump right into introducing yourselves.
Okay, thank you very much for having us here. I teach at St. Mary's College, and I was really, really thrilled at the beginning of last year. Probably about September, the conversation or the rumor started that there may be a girls' hockey league starting. A couple of influential people at the high school level were talking about it, made efforts to get some ice time, and then set up a tournament. That was a week-long tournament last May, I believe, and it was round robin. Girls came out to join the team. It was really fantastic. We actually wore the boys' jerseys. It was a great trial run. We had a lot of fans in the stands, and the girls were just so enthusiastic and thrilled to be a part of a high school league because, of course, other teams, high school teams in Northern Ontario and as well Southern Ontario do have high school teams.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So Sault Ste. Marie is one of the only ones that didn't have a girls' hockey program.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So I was approached by a couple of people to see if I would help out, and my resounding answer was yes. With hockey, I am a mom of 2 boys, and my older son just loved the sport and is and continues to be a goalie. So he played through the AAA system, and then he played high school hockey, and he played Lug League in university, and right now he's continuing to play, and he also is a goalie coach for the U18 Greyhounds.
Fantastic.
So, that's about it. So we were thrilled to have another season this year. It's run a little differently. It is over a month period, so it's a little difficult to have the games spread so far apart. But with ice time in Sault Ste. Marie, I imagine that's what happened. But we still have an enthusiastic group and a very talented group of girls playing.
That's awesome. And Patti, I happen to know that you have played a lot of, would I call it recreational hockey?
Mm-hmm. I am in the beer league.
The beer league. I love it. See, if we were going to play hockey, Kelly,
typical,
you and I would be in the beer league.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's 4 levels. There's the fun, the beer, the middle, and the big league.
Okay.
And I never played hockey. I grew up downtown, and I often, skated at the city rinks, but watching hockey. And when I had a little more time to myself, I joined the women's league about 10 or 12 years ago. And I absolutely love it. I've had such a great experience, met wonderful people, improved, grown. I wish I was better at the sport, but I certainly have come to understand it level because it's certainly a different game on the ice than it is watching, and especially as a goalie's mom, I had a different perspective of the game too. Yeah.
I'm sure that, are you still playing? Like, you're
Yes,
still in the
yes.
in the beer league right now?
Yes, yes. Shout out to AFS.
Yes, awesome. Go team, go. I was surprised to hear the number of women that play recreational hockey in Sault Ste. Marie.
It's huge and growing every single year.
Which is wonderful. And now that we're getting it in high school too, right? It's all good.
They started at the small rink in Deborah.
Okay.
Yeah, a few dedicated women wanted to bring the sport forward and started from there and just exponentially has grown over the years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's been one of the greatest experiences. I love it.
That's great. All right, so Josh, you are a hockey coach. So why don't you tell us about your history with the sport, where you are at now?
So I'm Josh Dunn. Basically played hockey all my life, like most kids in the Sioux. Played high school at St. Basil's. Was a goalie for 2 years there. So now I'm the head coach at St. Mary's. I'm not a teacher or anything, but I've been with the team for 3 years now. Before that, I coached with Sioux Major for seven years probably. And the last 3 I've been at St. Mary's, and this is my first experience as head coach there, and I'm enjoying it so far.
That's wonderful. All right, so the premise of our show really is Raquel and Kelly know nothing about sports. So we do know some things about hockey, because how can you grow up in Sault Ste. Marie and not know some things about hockey, right? But there's lots that we don't know. So we need you guys to share some of your expertise with us. Like some of the things we don't know anything about positions, which I know is a big part of the game. I don't have any idea. Strategies at the high school level, anything that you want to share with us to teach us about the sport, we would really appreciate. And whoever would like to go first can go first.
So basically, hockey, I guess I consider it a pretty simple game, but that might not be the same for most. For us it's not.
No,
so I'll go right to the basics. It's played 5-on-5. There's 5 skaters from each team and a goalie, 3 forwards, 2 defense. The forward's job is more so to score the goals, but hockey's kind of changed, and defense are much more involved now, also to contribute offensively and keep things out of their net defensively. What else?
You know what is probably challenging when you've played a sport your entire life and somebody says to you, teach me about your sport. And you're like, I don't even know where to begin, because to you it is simple, but to us it's really not. So the positions, let's talk more about the role of the positions.
Yeah, so, and the basics, like fundamentals as young hockey players, would be your skating, passing, shooting, and positioning. Those are kind of the 4 fundamental things that'll give you the base to build off as you get older in the sport. Positioning, your center is basically the guy always needing to be on the puck in the D zone, helping out the defense if the other team has the puck. The defensemen, they covering the front of the net, battling in the corners, trying to get the puck from the opposing team's forwards to get it out of the zone. And the wingers are kind of on the wall or up on the other team's defense, stopping them from getting scoring chances, and being on the wall to receive a puck and try to get it out of the zone to switch up to offense.
So I'm listening and thinking to myself, what's the D zone?
Yeah.
And who are the wingers?
So D zone first. What's the D zone?
So D zone is in your own end of the ice, basically where the other team can score on you.
Okay.
The wingers, there's a left and right winger, so they basically are more on the perimeter of the D zone and up on the other team's defenseman, while the center and defenseman from your team is down lower, battling to get the puck.
Hey, Patti, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so when you're looking at both sides, let's say you're looking at a bird's eye view.
Okay.
You have your goalie, and then you have 2 players, one to the right of the goalie and one to the left. So those are your defensemen, right? That's your defensive zone.
Okay.
Because the defensemen want to keep that puck out of away from the goalie as much as possible. And then you have your right and left wingers just ahead of them, and then they're trying to carry the puck out. They're trying to, and centerman basically covers that whole area to be open, ready to receive the puck.
And can any of the positions go anywhere on the ice? So like your defenseman can score if they get themselves all the way down? Okay.
And the others will fall back to cover, basically, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they can go anywhere.
So one of the things we learned about in volleyball is that you have positions, right, in volleyball, but at different moments, people are moving all over the place and covering and moving in different places. So is it the same in hockey? Yes, I'm a defenseman, but if I'm needed up here, this is where I'm going to go.
If you
Yeah.
had the best opportunity to carry the puck
Yeah.
forward, you would, and then the winger would fall
Right.
back to cover that area.
So no one's sort of set into, it can be very fluid, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? In terms of where people are on the ice.
Yeah, and it's definitely become much more that way, with modern hockey. It's not so structured and you have to be in this certain point. It's kind of everyone can fill in each position because skating and movement has become such an important part.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing practices, it's not like a defense practice or a forward practice. It's everybody's doing the same drills in practice, or?
I know we'll sometimes split up. We'll take forwards in one end, D in the other, just to do more defense incorporated stuff and forward incorporated stuff. But yeah, for the most part, it's everyone's kind of all in, and you're playing your position. But yeah, there's a lot of different movement in all that.
Okay.
So if you were to observe a hockey drill with some of the teams, they're wearing different colored practice jerseys to symbolize what position that they normally play.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you have different drills. Your skating drills would often be the same, but
Right.
you have definitely some specific drills, as Josh mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then how does a goalie fit into this? Obviously, the goalie is hugely important. But how do they fit into the general team training, the strategies? Because their job is so different from everybody else's.
Are they just in the net during practice?
Well, sometimes, if you don't mind, I'll speak to this. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, some coaches aren't like a goalie specific coach. They would often have a goalie specific coach for a team, but sometimes goalie training is overlooked within a team, I think, just from a mom's point of view, because you see them just taking the shots, feeding that. If they have a goalie specific coach, they can work on certain positioning.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But a lot of the drills, would the goalie just do the drills with the rest of the team anyway?
Well, some of the skating drills.
Like skating drills and stuff?
Yeah, then most of the drills will end up in a shot on goal or a
Right.
play in that zone. So the goalie's always in his net, ready for that. But then sometimes, you'll specifically just take the goalies to work with and individually.
Okay. One of our athletes that's coming soon is a goalie, so we'll talk to him for some specifics.
And we were always told that the goalie should be the best skater on the team. So
Ah, interesting. Because I would say they could get away with not being the best skater on the team, but that's really interesting.
if you really watch the intricacies of that position, and that's developed so much over the past,
Oh,
20 years that I've been watching it.
uh-huh. So one question we do have, which I feel like both of you have actually alluded to this already, is how has the sport of hockey changed over time?
So I would say, nowadays hockey is a lot more speed focused. You have to be able to skate. There's skill, and there's less hitting and physical play, and that's the fighting component in bigger time hockey. But defense now have to be very mobile, whereas before they were more stay at home, structured, not as good of skaters was kind of the thing, whereas now, sometimes they're your best skaters because they have to be good backwards, good forwards, and be able to get up and down the ice. So it's faster and less aggressive, I guess, than it would have been even 10, 15 years ago.
More technical skill.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is there more safety equipment than there used to be? Has that changed from a safety standpoint?
Has that changed in the net?
hockey?
No.
No?
No, the equipment's
Cages
basically
and
all,
risers.
all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say it's just probably gotten better quality.
Okay.
But
That makes sense.
for the most part, the equipment's been the same.
Okay. All right. So we want to talk a little bit about tryouts. And we're going to have very different answers here from the girls' perspective and the guys' perspective, right? So it doesn't matter which one goes first. But what's the tryout process look like for high school hockey? Are there students that aren't going to make the team? Like, what are you looking for in tryouts? So let's talk about tryouts. Whichever one wants to go first can go first.
Tryouts for high school hockey take place in May. That's how we do it because the downtown Sioux Major, you have to be signed up and enrolled in that by end of June. So we try to commit to our team by the end of May, even though we're not starting until October. Basically get a sign up, and I think last year at our tryouts we had roughly 30 skaters. So the reality of that is, some won't make the team, which is always tough. Usually have 3 or 4 sessions, and we'll do a little practice component at the start, and then basically just a scrimmage to kind of be able to grade and see what we see out there. And it's tough because you have to make cuts, which sucks. So 30, I think we had 30-ish, and you always want more than your team is going to have, because it does show, it makes that competitive edge at the tryouts. If you just had 16 or 17 skaters, that's, everyone knows they're making it, so there's not really much of a tryout there. So when you have 30, 40 kids, they have to really work to show that they belong on the team.
Okay. And now what about for the girls?
So female hockey, we had a meeting of interest. Actually, we had 2 meetings of interest. We had 2 scheduled practices. So we just told everybody interested to come out to the skate. And the original sign-up, I think we had about 22 girls, if I'm not mistaken. But then they didn't end up making it to the first practice. We narrowed it down. 3 or 4 players weren't able to come because of other commitments. One was committed to another sport, so she wasn't able to come out. But we didn't have to make any cuts this year, which was, excellent that all girls with interest were able to play. So we have our own jerseys. We had, established, Daryl went and booked a couple of different ice times just to give them a better opportunity to skate together and run through drills and play together. So.
Do you find that most of the kids who are coming out to high school team tryouts for hockey are the kids that already play on other teams? They're already immersed in the sport in our community, or they're playing for the junior Greyhounds or whatever other team there is?
Female hockey, yes, all of them were experienced. There were a few ring-up players that decided to try the sport of hockey last year, which was amazing and excellent, and they continue to do so. But most of the students are athletes in other sports, yes.
Okay, so I have a question. And this is maybe more boys, because I think girls, Patti sort of addressed this. Is there any opportunity for a boy or a girl who has never really played hockey, and they are now in grade 9, and they think, you know what, I want to try this, I want to do it. Is there any opportunity? Because I feel like for boys, and please absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like for boys, every single boy you get that comes to tryouts has played hockey for most of their life. Girls maybe not, because there isn't as much opportunity, so maybe it's very different. But for boys, is there any chance for somebody let's say in grade 9 to just start hockey? Or is it, I hate to say it, but is it too late?
I think it'd be hard for them at that level to start. I guess the school hockey program that they have as a class would be a good thing for them to get in, because it would be tough. I know specifically our tryouts are pretty competitive, and a lot of the kids out there have played AAA and AA hockey.
Which is
since-
very
since they-
highly competitive hockey and a lot of work and dedication.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so since they were kids, so it would be, would just be a bit too much for
Right.
someone that's never played before to come out there, but I know the school has the hockey program, and that would be something good for them to get into, or just play at the Sioux Major level.
Right.
It just,
So it's a different option,
Yeah.
for
yeah.
sure. Now, what about girls, though? Would there be girls that would come out that haven't really played hockey before
Well,
then?
last year we had 2 students, one that really had never played hockey at all, so she was unsure about positioning, and I was so pleased to see the other girls welcome her in, help her any way that they could. She had equal ice time with the other girls. We rolled the lines, and there was also another student who had played in net, but not for many, many years.
Okay.
So she didn't have equipment at that point, scattered to find her some equipment. And, so it was nice to see that welcoming environment. So there was an opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Because it is so new, but I absolutely understand what Josh says. It would be difficult for somebody to get to that skill level immediately.
Right.
I mean, not that the doors are closed to them, but
It would
there
be
is that
challenging.
competitive
It would be very challenging.
edge.
Yeah.
And I wrote down one question just as you guys were talking to us. When the kids are coming to tryouts, are they bringing their own equipment?
Yeah.
The school's not
Yeah.
providing equipment for hockey?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
So they-
I didn't know that.
And I'm trying to think of what the equipment is, but like,
jerseys,
yeah.
shells for pants, socks, we provide.
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Other than that, everything.
Oh,
everything.
they're under the
And their
jersey
skates
stuff.
and their own stick and their
Yeah.
own, okay. See, again, we don't know. That's the whole point. Okay, so we're going to move into what we call rapid fire questions, okay? So these are fast. We try and get the answers. So,
Are we in competition, Josh and I?
I don't know, do
Answer
you want to
more
make it a
quickly?
competition? We'll give points? What do you want to do? We like
Oh, I don't
competition? No, I'm
I got a
kidding.
segment.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question, and I don't really understand this and why it's so different in hockey, but why is the higher level of physicality okay in hockey but not in other sports? And I know it's just always been like that, but does anyone know why it's okay? Because you can't treat people, you can't even cheer in badminton.
Yeah.
But can you imagine in badminton, I'm just going to check my opponent because
Yeah.
I don't like what they did.
Well,
But it's so different.
That's almost
but-
a non-contact sport,
It
though.
is,
But
right.
if you take a look at basketball,
But you can't get away with in
you
basketball
get away
to
with
the
elbows and you have,
Not to the extent that you can though in hockey, I think.
I
It's
don't know,
actually-
football,
Football,
High
high
contact.
contact sport.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but something we didn't talk about before we got into
Mhm.
rapid fire though, was the penalty times. And that
Oh.
was a question I had. Like, how is that decided? Is it decided based on the crime, or is it decided by a referee? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you see them in the penalty box, and the time to me is always different. So,
That's a good question.
The majority are 2 minutes, and then, that's your just basic penalty. Then if there's an extra 2 minutes, so you could have a 4-minute, that's like a head check, if it was an intentional head check. If you took a 2-minute, then did something else after the whistle, slashed a kid, or, chirped the ref, you might get an extra 2 minutes. Then there's 10 minutes, that's more if you're just chirping at the ref, you'll get a 10. Yeah, so usually 2, 4, 10, 5 is you're kicked out of the game.
okay.
Okay, so actually one of my questions is about checking. Like, so what is like cross-checking and body checking? Like, is there, in terms of checking, what is it? And is there different types of it?
So, just to the last one too,
Okay.
like the physicality, like hockey has equipment. So, like basketball, they're wearing nothing, right? So I think that's also a factor. And just, it's a way to separate you from it's the way to get a puck back sometimes. Like, there's so much stuff that you can't get a player with your stick, and it's just using that physical edge to rub on a person or anything, and that's going to get your team back the puck. So it's just that component too. But yeah, a cross check.
Yeah, so what is a
That's
cross-check?
just 2 hands on your stick and just put your stick across someone's back or Yeah.
I'm literally
Yeah.
doing
Okay, so
the-
Kelly is literally
Basically.
got her hands up
Yeah,
and she's
like,
got her stick and
like
she's
you're
shoving.
doing a
Okay.
push-up with a hockey stick.
Okay, so it's with your stick though. That's what it is. So it's lifting
Yeah.
your stick up and hitting somebody with your stick or pushing them, I guess. Maybe not hitting them, but pushing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or hitting them.
Or hitting them? Mm-hmm.
And is the penalty time different depending on where you hit them? Like if you hit them in the back, it's one thing, but if you hit them in the head, is it another, or
Head contact.
Yeah, if you hit them in the head, you're probably getting kicked out of the game.
you're done?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. All right.
didn't know that. One of the questions on here is, what is high sticking?
So it's basically not having control of your, not having control of your stick. If it goes, I was asking my husband this, if it goes to a certain level, but there's no real level, it's just you should always have control of your stick.
Yeah.
So if you hit another player in the face, even if they are lower than you, they're falling at the same time that you go in to take a shot, you can get a high sticking penalty.
Yeah, basically, if
okay.
your stick, comes up, hits someone in the head, the neck, anything like that, you'll get a high sticking.
All right,
Okay.
okay.
And what is offside?
The puck has to go across the line into the
Before
offensive zone.
somebody does?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, before another player does.
The puck has to cross the line before the players do on the other side, right?
Yeah,
So
you're
if a
going in to
player
shoot.
crosses first, before the puck, that's considered offside, and then the whistle's blown, and then the refs like take the puck and they all come together. I don't even know the terminology. Do you see what I'm doing here? Like, this is how bad this is. But then the ref will take the puck and they're gonna drop the puck and start again, right?
Yeah,
They'll take it out
yeah,
of the
just
blue
the
line,
one,
yeah.
just the one blue line, like, will be where the offside can be called.
Like the middle line, like right in the middle?
No, that doesn't cause an offside. The blue line,
Where's the blue line then?
Where's the blue
So
line?
there's two blue
gaining the
lines.
offensive zone. So if you're crossing into the other team's defensive zone, like you're on offense and you're crossing the blue line, you can't cross before the puck.
So the rink is divided into thirds?
So there's your side, right?
Is it like thirds, or is it?
Yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of?
yeah.
Not
Defensive
evenly, but
zone,
yeah.
neutral zone, and offensive
Okay.
zone, yeah.
So your side, you have your goalie,
Yep.
your two defensemen,
Yep.
and your two wingers and the centerman, and then you have a blue line,
Okay,
okay? And then you have a circle and a red line, and then you have another blue line that,
Okay, yes.
that's going into the offensive
Okay.
zone when I would try to bring it forward to score. So the puck has to cross their
First.
line before a player does. So if you're eager, you're lined up with me, and you're eager to get a pass, you can't cross that line before my puck.
okay.
I can send the puck in and you can chase it.
I get it. I get it.
I'm still trying to picture the rink.
So we need boards and illustrations and smart boards.
Yeah.
Clipboards, I don't know,
brought-
but we need
should've brought
something
one in.
sometimes, right? All right, we have time for maybe one more rapid fire question, Kelly. Is there any
I have
left?
2 questions left.
Okay.
One that I was thinking of was, can a goalie get a penalty?
Definitely.
So what would be an
Yeah.
example of that? Like how?
Push a kid down after a whistle, like if you got slashed, and push a kid down after the whistle,
Using your
punch
blocker.
him, yeah.
Using
Yeah.
a blocker in any defensive sense towards a
okay.
player, chirping the ref.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can the team put in another goalie if that one gets?
He doesn't serve the penalty.
Oh,
A player from the team has to
Has
go
to
serve
serve
the
it for
penalty.
him.
Yeah,
Someone who's on
Slashing.
the ice, not just someone who's on the
Right.
bench.
yeah.
him or her. I shouldn't just keep
Yes.
saying him.
The player.
The player, yes.
How
Okay.
much we just learned.
I know, right?
All right, you want to throw in the last one?
Well, I just wondered, in general, what is considered roughing? Like, I feel like that's a really broad term. So what is it like, what is it?
Just,
Like, you got 2 minutes for roughing. Okay, like, we hear that all the time. That was my ref impersonation, by the way.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
You'll need to have some refs on.
Yeah, 2 minutes for roughing. Okay, but what is that? Is it a cross check? Is it a high stick? Is it
like
just being a jerk? Like,
Putting someone like in a headlock after a whistle, or just pushing them, something like that.
Using
Just
excessive
being a
force.
little
Using
being
excessive
a little
force.
over
Okay.
aggressive.
Pushing the
Yeah,
limits, yeah.
so it's a bit of a broad term, really, that could cover maybe a lot of things, but I like what you said, just using kind of a little aggressive force that isn't needed,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
So the ref does have some sort of leeway in what they call as roughing,
Yeah,
generally.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm. I know parents like to yell at the refs a lot in hockey.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And I don't always know why they're yelling, because I don't know what's going on, right? But anyway, I do know. So, did you have any last questions? I think
I have so many questions.
well, we always have a lot of
Okay,
questions,
yeah.
right? Because once we learn something, what happens is we realize, I need to know more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's go into that. And that's why these episodes could be way longer than they are, but nobody would listen. So, anyway, as always, we have to say a huge thank you. Thanks for giving up time to come here on an evening and talk to us
Absolutely.
and teach us. And as always, thank you for giving time to the sport. It's always really exciting to talk to coaches, that are there, that are dedicated, that play the sport, that have a history with the sport, and are passing on that passion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
All right, thanks.
And joining us for our athletes tonight for hockey is Cole Kahn from Superior Heights, Payton Melchoirre from Korah, and Talia Wardell from St. Mary's. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We're excited to have you here. We have a number of questions for you that I think we're going to jump right into. Is that right, Raquel?
Well, let's give them a second to introduce themselves, just their position and their history with hockey. We don't really care who goes first. I feel like Cole is
Okay.
very excited to go first. So Cole, take it away.
Like she said, my name's Cole Kahn. I'm in grade 12 and I go to Superior Heights. Right now, I'm play center for our school team, and I started playing hockey when I was 4, I think, in Timbits.
Timbits hockey
Yeah.
is my favorite hockey to watch.
And yeah.
Did you do AA, AAA, anything like that?
Yeah.
Or just house league?
No, I did AAA up until last year. Last year was my last year AAA, and then I decided to play high school this year.
Okay, great. Payton?
My name's Payton Melchoirre. I go to Korah. I'm the goaltender for the hockey team. Like Cole, I've been playing hockey since I was 4, started in Timbits. I played AAA all my life, the highest level up until, I want to say 2 years ago, when I wanted to give football a shot. So they don't let you play football when you play AAA, so I played AA, and then I wanted to pursue football a little more, so I played high school and fell in love with the high school team.
Okay, and Talia?
I'm Talia, and I'm from St. Mary's College, and I'm the goalie for the girls' hockey team.
And what's your history with the sport?
I've played since I was 4.
Did you start in Timbits hockey?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love Timbits hockey. That's the small ball.
The small ball.
The small ball of hockey.
4 seems to be the general age that you all started at. Is that typically where children are going to start playing hockey, is 4 years old?
Yeah, you see that a lot, like especially guys who parents who want their kids to go far. They put them in as soon as they can, right? So 4 or 5 is usually the start.
Okay.
I've even seen kids start at 3. So
That's a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifetime.
It's very different now though when I started, because I remember when I started, you would do like 5-on-5, like full ice, and like you wouldn't have goalies. They would be like an equipment bag, and you would just kind of pass it around at the start, because like no one wanted to like commit, because goalie equipment's like really expensive.
So
So
at 4 years old.
yes, and then but now like when you walk in the John Rose or the Pew and you see Timbits, it's all half ice. Like they put those little big like I don't know, like it's almost like a blackboard. It's kind of like
Like
foamy.
a bumper?
Yeah,
Would we call it
and
a
they
bumper?
like put it right in the middle, so then they have 2 games going on
Oh.
at once, so
So
they
they're
don't.
playing half
Yeah,
ice.
so the little kids don't have to like skate as far.
Right.
I know they've changed that since we started.
Oh, that would be a big change for sure. So normally we often ask, like, do you remember the first time you ever played? But you guys were all so little. Do any of you remember the very first, do you remember when you actually started hockey, how you felt about it?
yeah, I remember starting out, and obviously you got to learn how to skate. That's the
Yes.
hard part. But then after my first year, like Cole was saying, you'd bring the bag, you'd rotate at goalie, and when I wasn't a very good player, but I got in net and I was like, okay, I'm good at this.
Nice.
And every parent never wants their kid to be a goalie, because it's about like
Probably terrifying.
twice or
It
3
probably
times
is
the
terrifying.
price. It's expensive. So I remember saying to my dad, I'm like, Dad, can I be a goalie? He's like, no, son, no, you can't be a goalie. He's like, that's expensive. Are you sure you don't want to be a player? I'm like, yeah, I want to be a goalie. He's like, what, Dad, when everybody has their turn at goalie, can I ask Coach Mike if I could play goalie the second half of the season? He's like, oh, I don't like that too much, but I'll let you do it. And I said, okay. So I went to ask Coach Mike. He said I could do it. And then I played goalie the whole back half of the season, and it stuck ever since.
All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, Talia, do you remember the very first time that you played?
I don't know.
No, you were
No.
too little?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Did you know how to skate the first time you took the ice for hockey?
I did. Well,
You did?
like, I just remember like the oval. That's where you
Yeah.
would go,
Mhm.
and that's where you learned how to skate.
Yeah.
Like the first time was stepping on ice was not hockey. Like,
Right.
so
Okay.
you kind of like you don't like you still fall and stuff,
Yeah.
but like you get the like
Yeah.
you can move around.
Right.
You can do some little stuff.
Did any of you do can skate?
I did, yeah. I did.
That can skate's a great program for just the learning how to skate, right? And it's really popular.
And even like, yeah, I remember doing it before I started hockey, and then I probably did it. I mixed it in with my first year, and then after my first year, I stopped.
Hmm. Okay, so if you were going to convince somebody to try hockey, maybe somebody who has never tried it, a newcomer or whatever, what are some things that you would say to encourage them or motivate them to give it a try? And I'm not saying obviously they're not going to try out for the high school team, but just come on the ice with me and let's try. What would you say to convince somebody to try this sport?
I think there's nothing else like it that you can really do. Like there's no like if you tell someone, okay, we're gonna go on this frozen water with blades on your feet and sticks, and we're gonna.
That's the description
Yeah.
we need.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna chase after like this black rubber thing for an hour. Like you can't do that anywhere else. And like once you like, if you really like it, you can get into like the competitive side, and then you realize like, I think like hockey is like one of the most like you got to be a well-rounded athlete to play it, because you need power, you need stamina, you need explosiveness, and like that's what I would say. Like you can't do anything else like that. There's no other sport where you're kind of like you're like locked into skates. Like you can't. So that's what I would say is you can't really do anything else like it.
I think that's a great answer. Anyone else? What would you say to somebody to motivate them to try hockey?
Definitely the amount of friends you make from it.
Because
Well,
it is
that's
a
good,
very,
yeah.
it's a very team-centered sport, right? You're not an individual in hockey. You're very much a team. So I think that there's an opportunity there to make a lot of really great connections.
What do you think you'd say to someone to convince them to get in that net?
Well, that's a hard one. Like, well,
I don't think
one thing
anybody
about being a
could
goalie is, it's one of the mentally hardest things to do in all of sports. Because think say you have 20 players on a team, and then 2 goalies. Those players look like everybody else. You're a goalie, you're by yourself in the net, you can't hide. You're either loved by everybody or hated by everybody. There's no in between. You're either criticized or praised. It's very hard mentally, but the reward is very rewarding. Like it's more rewarding than anything else you could think of. If
That's
you
a
can
great
handle it.
answer.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Not enough equipment in the world for me to get in that.
No?
But it's pretty expensive though. Like being a goalie,
Uh-huh.
I got a new set of gear this year because all my stuff was red and white from the previous years, and a brand new set. Like if you get like a top of the line equipment, like pads, glove, and blocker, which is just your basics, like ran like $3,200.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, your poor parents.
Is it okay if I ask them a question, like goalie wise?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure it is.
Like, does it hurt when you get like make a save? Like I know, cause like players I like block a shot, but I don't actually like and you can feel it, but it doesn't really like. Does it hurt if you get hit, or does it like depend where you get hit?
It really depends where you get hit. Like anything on your arms doesn't hit, and then it doesn't hurt unless you get hit in the back. You don't feel anything in your hands unless it gets under your gloves. The sides hurt a lot when you get hit there because there's not really that much padding on a chest protector on the back side of you. Getting hit in the head, if you get hit on the crown of your head, it doesn't really hurt. The face mask doesn't really hurt, but the sides of the helmet hurt a lot. They sting a lot. And anything up by the stomach, like by your gut or your collarbone, kind of hurts.
Wow.
You have not sold me on being a goalie.
Kelly's not going to be a goalie. No, not at all. Do we have a question for Talia?
Yeah, I was just going to jump into talking about your first time high school sports. So this is your first time in the net, Talia.
Yeah.
That's correct. So how did you feel, and we learned that there wasn't really tryouts, right, because there weren't enough girls, but how did you feel going into that,
Like going in net?
going into the tryouts?
I felt good. I was a player at the time, so it wasn't scary.
Yeah. And how did you feel about, did you say put me in the net, or did they say,
No.
I'm
Oh.
going to put you in the net? How did you get in the net?
Yeah.
My dad's the coach, and nobody else would go in net, so
Okay. So were you voluntold?
yes.
Oh, goodness.
And honestly though, how did you feel about that?
Terrified. It's very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
So my next question is, and I ask this question of all of our athletes, how do you judge your own progress in this sport? And it's going to be different because we've got two goalies versus a player, right? So like what your progress might look like might be very different. But how do you judge your progress? How are you improving as a player? What are you using to make that decision? Anybody can answer first.
That's a hard one. Like as a goalie, you really judge your technique, especially like when I go to a private trainer, and then, when he coaches me, you progress. How's your rebound control? How's your positioning? How's your stick work? How's your hands? And a good way to judge it is like you can train for a bit. So say there's a shooter, and you say, oh, he usually scores on me, or I saved this many shots out of this many on this guy. But if you a good way to judge is like you start stopping this guy a little more, and you start, reading players and like starting to know how they shoot. Like that's developing mentally as well as your actual play. So that's a good way to judge.
Okay, now Cole, as did you say you were
Yeah, a center.
forward, a center,
yeah.
a center? Okay,
So that's
how
a
do
forward,
you?
yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. How do you judge your progress as a player?
Well, like you can look at it different ways. Like obviously, like a lot of people like to look at their like points. You guys know what points are, right? Like
We do.
so it's so a lot of people do that because like you score goals or you get assists, and they're like that's like obviously that's the point of the game is
Right.
to score. But then you can also look at it from like for a center you got to take face-offs. So like I only won 3 face-offs this game, but I won 6 the next game.
I don't know what a face-off is.
It's like so like when you have forwards, you have 3 forwards. You have a center, which is what I do. Then there's a left wing who's to your left on your team, and a right wing who's to your right. So when you take a face-off, it's like you're against the other team, and you have a person to your left and right, and then you have your 2 defensemen behind you. So it's kind of like an offside. There's always a face-off after an offside.
So the ref drops the puck?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? The ref drops the puck. Yeah, and then you want to get your stick to that puck
Exactly.
immediately, and then what you're saying is you want to get it to one of your teammates on either side as
One of
fast
your
as you
wings.
can, right? One of
Yeah.
your wingmen?
Yeah, usually it's nice to get it to like the defense.
Oh, okay.
Because they're like
Okay.
farther away. Because if you do it to the wing, there's a guy like right next.
Got
to
it. That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's like you can measure it that way because it's really like that's important to like get it back after that. So you can measure your progress through points, through face-offs, through plus minus. Like there's so many different things for a player to look at.
What about endurance?
Yeah,
Like
that's
just
true.
getting through a game.
Yeah, well, it can really depend. Like at a higher higher competition, everyone doesn't get the same amount.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like if you're
Yeah.
playing well, you'll play a lot more. So you might be a little more tired. But if you're not playing as well, you won't play a lot. So you like maybe you feel like, I'm not that tired, but you weren't.
But it's because you didn't.
Yeah, you didn't play as much.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So Talia, what about you? How do you judge your progress?
Just from every game, you get a little bit better.
Mhm.
Every practice too.
So what are some of the things that you're doing to gauge that you're getting better?
Going up and down faster,
Okay. What do you mean by up and down?
from butterfly to back up.
Okay, so we went from up and down to butterfly to
Picture
back up.
her,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It's when you put your pads down and together to block the shot to go through you.
Okay, yes, okay. And what do you call that? Butterfly?
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
I can picture
I can
it.
picture it, yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so you're saying like how fast you sort of drop
Yeah.
and then get back up,
Yeah.
right? Okay, do you know that it would probably take me like 3 minutes? I'd probably call somebody over
An
to help
entire
me
episode. It was taking-
to get back up. Okay, that's a great, I can see how that would be a great gauge because you need to be very fast on your feet actually as a goalie,
Yeah, 100%. Like,
right? Yeah.
Your footwork is paramount pretty much
Yeah.
to everything else besides positioning. Yeah, I mean, you could be, especially smaller goalies. Like I'm not the biggest guy myself. Like I'm pretty short, but if you're unable to move, say one of your say the other team's defenseman is at like where the blue line is, and they pass across to the other defenseman, they go D to D. Like if you can't move over fast enough, they're gonna get that shot off. They're gonna score. So like,
Very
you
fast
have to-
reflexes, really, as a goalie. I mean, all hockey players do because the puck moves very fast, right? But definitely fast reflexes.
So just while I was listening to you talk, Payton, you talked about, keeping track of how many shots are taken on you, or who's taking the most shots. Is somebody actually keeping track of how many shots are taken on a net?
Well, in a game, like it all depends on the timekeeper, but how it's supposed to be and how it is probably 50% of the time is there'll be someone in the timekeeper's box that will track the shots, and it'll be on the scoreboard. Like you'll see under the teams, it'll go shots, and that's, say you're the home team, and if it says 31, it means you've shot 31 shots in the other net. So
Okay.
you look at the other team's shots up on the board, and that's how many
So
shots.
some
yeah.
quick math you can figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are there rules that you guys struggle to remember in the game? Clearly, we know none of them, but
I don't really know if you like forget any rules, because like, there's like once you play for a while, you pretty pick up like there's offside, icing, and penalties.
Yes.
Like those are like the rules, and there's like rules that like branch off from that. So like penalties, like it's honestly like very hard to like think of the rules, because like there's like a wide range. Like
Okay.
some ref may think that a slash is one thing and another can think something else. So it's not that you like forget, but you don't really know. Every game's different, if that makes any sense.
It
like,
does make
cause,
sense, yeah.
'cause there's a different referee, so like you don't really forget, but you don't really like know like where they draw the line compared to someone else.
okay.
So if any of you were to get a penalty, what would it likely be for? Because even we learned that goalies can get penalties too,
Yes,
right?
I did learn that.
It would probably be something like roughing. Like if a goalie's gonna get a penalty, it's either gonna be roughing or it's gonna be unsportsmanlike, because
Okay.
it's gonna be after the whistle, some guy pushes you, you push him back, and you always get the retaliator on the penalty, or you end up chirping to the ref and he gets you for that.
Okay. Talia? Are the refs calling you out?
No.
No, they're not?
No.
Good job. Good job. Cole, what about you?
Mine would probably be with my stick. Probably either like a slashing or a hooking.
Cross-checking.
I'd have to be pretty angry to do that. I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, because usually like player-wise, you're just trying to get the puck, and sometimes like your stick just ends up, like it's not like it's out of control, it just ends up in between his arm and his body, and it just looks like you hooked him. Or like a slash, you can try and be getting it, and it just looks like you hit him with your stick. It's probably something like that.
So sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Okay. Is there a difference in how boys and girls play hockey? So Talia, we might need you to think about the answer to this one. Is there a difference in how boys and girls play hockey?
A little bit. Boys hockey is definitely more rough than girls.
Okay.
Yeah. But are girls still checking? Look, okay, I'm going to say all the words I know. Are they still checking and hooking and sticking and slashing and all those things? Does it still happen in girls hockey?
Yeah, but definitely not as much as in boys hockey.
Okay.
Are there any mixed teams?
Well, I've actually had a girl on my team a couple times. Like you see it more like when you're younger. Like I saw this more when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like usually it's like girls that wanna go far in hockey usually play boys hockey they say to give themselves a better challenge. But like I had a friend who recently moved out of town, because once you get to a certain age for girls, if you want to go pro, you have to play girls hockey by a certain age. So one of my friends who I grew up with my whole life moved out to Detroit to go play rep hockey down there.
So what you're saying is that for girls, we don't have in Sault Ste. Marie that higher level of competitive girls hockey.
Well, there is that. Like, there's U18 girls, but like if you
Oh.
want to like play best of the best, top of the line, like you're trying to get scouted, like usually people end up moving away.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So we've already been at this for about 20 minutes. So maybe, Kelly, one more question from you, and then we can move to our shout-outs.
How do you manage your pregame jitters?
That's a great one for me, actually. When I was like a couple years ago, the jitters actually meant everything to me. The jitters were a good thing, because I felt I got those jitters. I felt my legs shaking before the game. I felt like I was going to fall over. And even during the game, in a close game, that's a good thing because that means it was like a telltale sign I'm going to play good. If I had the jitters,
okay.
I'm going to play good,
Yeah.
and it's just going to go my way. But if I didn't have the jitters, then you'd be like, oh, no, what's going to happen, right? But I feel like later on in my game, like this year and the back half of last year, that hasn't mattered as much. And like you've learned as you go on, like I said, it's a huge mental game for goalies. You control it, and I feel like I've been able to play good without it. I feel like I've been able to lock in and focus better because focus is everything as a goalie.
I can imagine. Cole, what about you? Pre-game jitters?
Jitters, it's like weird because I feel like you have them and you're anxious, but like as soon as you start playing, they go away. Cause like as a player, like I know pro goalie's probably different, but I know like if it's close and you're on, you don't feel nervous at all because there's so many things going through your head. Like this is a little off topic, but people don't realize like the amount of like thinking goes on in a hockey game because you got to think like where you are, who's with you, stuff like that. So like jitters when you're on, you don't really think about them because there's so many things to think about. But when you're like on the bench and other people are on, that's the only thing you can think about is like, oh, if we get scored on, this is terrible. So jitters, like I don't feel like I deal with them, but they kind of go away once it's like your shift, it's your time to go on.
Talia, I'll let you answer, but I have a part B question to this. Any superstitions? Anything you have to do for a game?
Well, that's a good one. Recently this year, actually I've had a new thing, is I remember it was my first game of the season because we were just finishing up football. And it was against St. Mary's. And my mom said this to me. She's like, hey, bring some honey with you and take it before the game. It's a good little energy shot, and it's healthy. So I was like, okay. I brought it, and I happened to have a really good game.
Oh,
So now this year, that's the honey thing is new to this year. I always take honey. I just bring a bottle, squirt it in my mouth right before I go on the ice, and then in intermissions. But when I get to the rink, it's always get to the rink, get changed, get in your warm-up gear. I usually take 2 racket balls with me, and I warm up my hands that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I always have to go somewhere else away from my team. I don't warm up with the team. I go throw my racket balls, stretch, and then I basically don't talk to anybody before a game.
Okay. All right. So Talia, so pre-game jitters. Do you have them? How do you deal with them? And then do you have any superstitions or anything that you need to do before a game?
I always have pregame jitters, but I just listen to some music. And a superstition I have, it's really gross, but I don't wash my socks after a win.
Okay.
There's something about the socks. Socks seem to come up a lot in superstitions. Yeah. So you don't wash them after a win and then wear them for the next game?
Yes.
And then if you win, you still don't wash them,
Yes.
and on it goes?
Oh, dear.
So if you have a great season, those socks are going to walk away by themselves. They're
Yeah.
going to be so stinky. I love it. Okay, Cole, any superstitions for you?
I have to listen to a SoundCloud mix before the games. That's something like that has to happen. It's just like when you think of going to a hockey game or you think of a hockey room, that's what I think of. So I just that has to be on. I always have to tape my stick because I hate playing with stick that has like puck marks on it or it's torn. I have to do that. And once I wax my sticks, the bottom of the stick can't touch the ground. I have to put them up upside down.
Okay.
And the last one is I can't put 2 shin pads on. I have to put shin pad, sock.
Okay. It's interesting how many athletes have their little things, right? To
Yeah.
make sure everything goes well.
Well, it's like routine. Like if you do
It's
the same
routine.
thing,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you're going to perform the same way.
That's right. Have your honey and you're going to have a great game, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. So we like to have our athletes end with a shout out to someone who's supported you in your sport. And it can be more than one person. You can certainly shout out your parents and a coach or whatever you want. But somebody that has been there, supported you in your sport, everybody deserves a shout out. So who would like to go first?
I guess I'll start.
Sure.
This man means like more than I can explain to me, and he was a coach of mine a long time ago, like probably about 6-7 years ago, and his name is Mark Rosetto, and Mark has been an amazing coach throughout my entire career. He means more than any other coach has meant to me. And we still talk all the time because I'm good friends with his son. I've played with his son. His son's probably going to go to the O show in a bit.
Is his son Nick?
Yeah. his son's
Who is?
Nick.
Yeah. I'm not even in the hockey world, and I know how great of a hockey player he is. Okay.
He's pretty good.
That's
but
awesome.
Mark, we still communicate all the time. Like, even no matter what it is, whether it's he sees something of me when it comes to hockey, because he would always push me to be better on the ice and as a person. And even when it comes to other sports like football, he always takes the time out of his day to, call me, send me a message. And even like stuff like weightlifting, like he sees maybe a video of me weightlifting, and he always makes sure to text me, and he really means a lot to me. But one other person as well is my goalie coach, Jamie DeZano. Also means quite a bit to me. He's taught me everything I know about the game. Anything when it comes down to technique, performance, he's taught me everything, and I wouldn't be in this seat if it weren't for him. And he really knows it all. He's such a good coach. He pushes you to be better. He cares about you, and he's a great coach.
That's awesome. Very well said.
Awesome.
All right, who would like to go next?
It'd probably be my parents for me.
Yeah.
Because they spend a lot of their time and their money, and my mood can change based off of hockey, so they have to deal with that too.
I love the honesty.
Yeah, so probably them, because like when I play competitive, like every weekend,
Yeah.
they got to take time off work. They got to
It's a
drive.
big commitment.
Yeah,
It is.
and they never said no. They said, do what you want, and we'll follow you.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
That's great.
Talia, for you?
Definitely my dad and my brothers, because they've taught me everything I know today.
Nice.
Very nice. All right. Wow. You guys have done a really great job. Thanks so much for giving us some time. And your first exam is tomorrow. So you need to go home and study, right?
Yep.
Anyway, thanks so much for coming. It's really wonderful to see the dedication and passion that you guys have for your sport. I wish our viewers could see your faces, the way that you guys light up literally when you talk about hockey. It's awesome to see.
Yeah. Thanks so much,
This is
guys,
great.
for
Thanks for
coming
having
in.
me.
Thank you.
All right, all the best. So the season is ongoing still for hockey, right?
Yep.
Girls and boys. Yeah. So
Yep.
are you in the middle of the season?
Well, we're nearing the end.
Nearing the end, okay.
Playoffs should start, I want to say, about mid to late February.
All right. Well, we wish you
right.
great luck with that.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much, guys and girls. Thank you.